Well, hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to our global audience. I would like to welcome you to our event. This event is the Digital Resilience in the Age of Rapidly Evolving Artificial Intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is the new buzzword, and we are going to explore quite a bit as it relates to artificial intelligence in telecommunications, in cybersecurity, in data privacy, and so on. And to do that, we have, an esteemed panel of experts who are going to explore this entire space with me. I am a moderator. My name is Trevor Forrest. We are here at the wonderful High Commission of Canada. Incidentally, they are the sponsor of this event. And, I'd really like to thank the High Commission for their, foresight in putting on an event of this nature. It really is a testament to their commitment to, assist, showcase, highlight innovation and the technology and the benefits of same, not only in Jamaica, but the region as a whole. And you will see that when you get a wind of the panelists that we have, because we really do have an esteemed panel to speak about some of these issues that we're going to take on today. So in the digital age, we're talking about transformation, we're talking about various technologies and how we can use those technologies to make things more efficient, how we can use those technologies to increase, our digital footprint, make our economies better, and so on. One of the things that has really now created a whole new impact is this thing called artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is cutting across every industry in every country globally. So we want to really take a look at some of the areas that artificial intelligence really impacts. They were going to focus on data privacy, cybersecurity, and the telecommunications space. And to do that, we have, a really great lineup. Before I introduce you to my lineup, let me introduce you to who is here with me. All right. So on my right is Sophie Goulet. Yes. Right, got that right. She's the Senior Trade Commissioner at the High Commission. To my left is my good friend Delroy McLean from Cable and Wireless. He's a Senior Director at Cable and Wireless Communication. On remote, let me go through who I have here. I have Nandini Jolly from CryptoMill. They're a cybersecurity firm from Canada. Shakira Roll Johnson. And yes, I remember the Johnson Shakira. And Shakira is from the Cable Bahamas Group. She is the Director of Information Security there. Then we have Camilo Sanchez. Camilo is the Business Development Manager at Genetec. Hey, Camilo. Then we have Darren Hokanson, and Darren is CEO. Sorry, not CEO. Is it CEO? Yes, CEO of Switch. Got that right? Great. CEO of Switch. And last but not least, my good friend Rory Banks, and Rory is, I would say, king security expert at Simtai Consulting. But Andrew might have a problem with me giving you that that moniker. But Rory is the director of cybersecurity at Simtai Consulting here in Jamaica. So you see that we have some serious panelists here that can really go into this topic, and we're going to make sure that we cover as much and give you as much information as possible. Now, just a couple of housekeeping matters before we get into the agenda. We want to make sure, panelists, that everybody has their camera on. To make this a little more interactive, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to, from time to time, take some questions randomly from the online viewing group. So if you have questions throughout the discussion, please just post them in the chat. Unfortunately, the YouTube people, you may not be able to have your questions asked or answered, but we'll do the best we can. The Zoom participants, put your questions in the chat, and we will randomly pick some questions from that. All right. At the very end of the discussion, I will take some questions as well. So because I kind of want to make this interactive, so we'll take some questions as we go through, and then some questions at the end. With that said, I would like to introduce the Senior Trade Commissioner, Sophie, and ask her to give us some opening remarks.
Thank you, Trevor. So good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour. Thank you, Mr. Trevor Forrest, our moderator, specially invited guest panelists, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you to this webinar on digital resilience and extended a special welcome from the from the High Commission of Canada and Jamaica. To our audience across Canada, but also the Caribbean territory of accreditation, so Jamaica, Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and Cayman Island. The High Commission continue to prioritize, very important ICT for us, as key for the region, and remain committed to supporting relationships and partnership between Canadian and Caribbean companies. Today, we are engaged with Canadian companies like CryptoMill, Cybersecurity Solution, Switch, Genetec, on the advancement on cybersecurity, data privacy, and telecommunication. We will also hear from the regional industry representative from Cable Wireless Communication, Cable Bahamas Group, and Simtai Consulting on regional perspective as we dive into the intersection of the AI, like you mentioned earlier, to further strengthen the digital resilience in the Caribbean. We are pleased to have our industry moderator, Mr. Forrest, as we mentioned, from 876 Technology Solution. I invite regional attendees to connect with the participating Canadian companies and other interests through the Trade Commissioner Services at the High Commission of Canada to collaborate on key project initiatives. If you check at some point, the chat will put the email address and get in touch with us. So we look forward for an engaging discussion and encourage your participation during this event. Merci à tous pour votre présence. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you.
I made it.
There was never a doubt that you'd make it, man. No doubt. So, thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for hosting us. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to ask each panelist to take about 3 minutes tops to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your company. Once we do that, then we'll start the discussion. So let me start with Nandini. And remember to come off mute.
You're in such high spirits that I feel I must be in Jamaica to keep happy all the time. It seems that the weather is. Thank you very much
Indeed.
for your time. My name is Nandini Jolly. I'm the CEO and founder of CryptoMill Technologies. I'm very proud of the fact that it's an all-Canadian grassroots cyber company that has developed and designed a platform that unwittingly 10 years ago, people thought we were crazy to think what we thought. And yet today has become the crux and the center point globally with respect to addressing cyber threats. And what we've designed is our Circles of Trust platform that focuses on implementing a true zero trust architecture that precludes and does not allow someone just because they're in the network to get access to data. So we've implemented that architecture and built on it a data-centric security suite of offerings. And as I will get a chance to talk to you more, you'll see that the data-centric security approach is now the new focus from network security, because data is everywhere, including relating to AI. And it is very important to focus and encrypt and protect that data at data layer level so that the security and the protection travels with the data. From a work perspective, we were proudly selected by Innovation Canada to address Canada's needs during the pandemic relating to cyber. And that allowed us to engage immediately with our military and government. So our heads been down through the pandemic to focus in protecting Canadians at large and against external hacks, as we saw the rise of which with the COVID pandemic and remote work at home. Building on that, we've made Canada proud by providing the seed document to our country's very first data-centric security standard. And globally, we're now engaged with the US as well as the NATO allied nations in supporting and providing thought leadership. I personally also coordinate 3 study groups for NATO over the last 3 years. That has led us to speak proudly of Canada. So that's us in a nutshell. Thank you very much for having me here. And I'm happy to see so many happy people. So thanks for everything, Trevor and Leslie, and over.
Thank you so much, and we're happy to have you. I have so many questions to come at you about some of the cool things that CryptoMill is doing. So next, we have the CEO of Switch Incorporated, and that's Darren Hoganson. Darren, tell us a little bit about Switch. Oh, you're on mute. Remember to come off mute. Hold on a second, man. We're gonna get you off mute for real quick. Does that allow you to take yourself off? There you go.
It does now. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. It's hard to kind of say, unmute me, please. I was gonna use the chat. Thank you very much, Trevor. Appreciate you guys having me here. And so I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Darren Hoganson. I'm the CEO of Switch, a Canadian telecom carrier that specializes in last mile connectivity. We typically work with other carriers, governments, enterprises, and institutions. One of our main specialties is last mile networks like fiber, microwave, and satellite. We help our customers not only build resilient networks, but with multiple uplink capabilities and also dark networks, which help kind of eliminate outside threats, essentially. The telecommunications sector is rapidly advancing regarding wireless point-to-point and satellite, mainly being LEO constellations. Switch has been deploying high capacity, 10 gigabit per second plus wireless links for remote operations such as mines, pipelines, power plants, as well as in-motion connectivity via satellite to projects like marine vessels, trains, and emergency response. This all helps to get your facilities connected, but opens up your assets to potential threats. So understanding and building a secure network is key. AI is here, and with it brings rapidly changing environment for telecom networks. Cyber attacks are increasing in frequency and will continue to do so. One sec here. They are also AI powered as well. So the cyber attacks, they're using AI in their process. So the way we need to look at things is not if you will be hacked, it's when. And case in point, Las Vegas MGM, a very well-funded and staffed organization, which relies solely on its network for successful operations, was recently hacked, and it compromised not only their gaming, booking, heck, it even prevented some guests from turning lights on or off, adjusting blinds in their rooms. So it was a widespread, breach, which they ended up paying to have their network restored, which means their emergency response plan for cyber attack was ineffective. But how does this play out with more critical infrastructure like power plants, pipelines, traffic control systems? This can affect public safety, and any organization should ask themselves the following questions. What is your emergency response plan? How long until you are aware of the breach? What part of your networks are compromised? And what is the risk to your customers or public? Until you can effectively answer these questions, which is where AI can assist, an effective response can be implemented. Organizations have spent decades bringing things online into the cloud for convenience, but this brings inherent risk. And in my opinion, we should be moving any critical systems, especially when public safety could be compromised, back to a network, a dark network or off net. I look forward to our discussion today and hope to better understand how AI can play a role in cybersecurity and keep our networks operational. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Darren. That was great. So next, we're going to introduce the business development manager at Genetec,
Camilo Sanchez. Camilo, you're up.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to the panelists as well for having this space to share ideas. And of course, thanks to the High Commission of Canada for this invitation. My name, Camilo Sanchez. I am Business Development Manager for the Caribbean at Genetec. Genetec is a global technology company headquartered in Montreal that has been transforming the physical security industry for over 26 years. Today, the company develops solutions designed to improve security, intelligence, and operations for enterprises, governments, and the communities in which we live. The company has customers in more than 150 countries, 17 international offices, and around 1,800 employees. And our flagship product is called Security Center. It's an open architecture platform that unifies IP-based surveillance, video surveillance, access controls, automatic license plate recognition, communications, analytics, among others. Our main message here is the unification of the systems and equipments, let's say facilitating their implementation. Genetec is suitable for customers that demand a high level of compliance, work safety, video tools with analytics, evidence, time and attendance, audit reports, and more. And just to give you some context about the physical security world, this has been traditionally the main tool, to protect our personnel, our assets, and our information as well. However, we all know that the threats have evolved, their nature has changed, and we must be prepared for it. Nowadays, threats are invisible and have moved into the cyber field, right? So in this sense, the physical security and cyber security are very closely related. All the equipment systems that we use for physical protection must be shielded in the best way possible against cyber attacks. We must be alert as well to these new threats, since ignoring this aspect puts at risk the protection of that we, from the physical point of view, are implementing in our customer facilities. So that's basically what we do. Looking forward to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Camilo. So next, we're going to go to an island not too far from us. We're going to go to the Bahamas, and Shakira Roll Johnson is the Director of Information Security at Cable Bahamas. By the way, I just curious, that's not the same as Batelco, right?
No.
No, good. I just wanted to make sure. So Shakira,
No.
tell us a little bit about Cable Bahamas and what's going on in Bahamas.
Okay, good
the
afternoon,
weather like?
everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, first of all, to the organizers for the invite and the opportunity to share input on this panel today. Thank you, Trevor, for that wonderful introduction. And no, we are not BTC. That is our main competitor. Cable Bahamas is a Bahamian-owned and operated communications company. We provide services in the areas of cable TV, broadband, fixed and mobile phone services. We service both the entire country. That's our residential, commercial, government. They're all our customers. So as opposed to the previous panelists that introduced themselves, I am a part of the operator perspective on this topic. So we're providing the TV services, the internet services, and the phone services. So what is top of mind and is one of the pillars that we operate on is our customers' privacy and their data privacy and security, as well as that of the company. So we're protecting not only them, but ourselves. And so our strategies vary because we have to make sure that they are tailored to the different areas that we're focusing on at that particular time. But essentially, we're committed to protecting the privacy and security of our customers so that we can build data resilience, again, not only for them, but for us. So I'm happy to be a part of this discussion. I intend to learn a lot from some of the other panelists, and also hope that I can share some meaningful insight from the operator's perspective.
Great, thank you, Shakira, and congratulations on the nuptials, yeah?
Thank you. And my husband is actually on, so he'll be happy to know that I've been telling people that I'm married now. So I got like 2 brownie points. Thank you, Trevor. I'll send the package in the mail.
Thank you, ma'am. That wasn't planned, by the way, because Jose is listening. All right, so we're gonna bring it back home, back to Jamaica. You know, we have to save the best for last. So we have one local and we have one on remote. So with me here on site, Senior Director, Enterprise, Government, and Multinationals, Cable and Wire. Well, it almost went off the paper, people. The title. It's so long, right? Delroy McLean, I've known him for a little while, so you know that's why I'm running these kinds of jokes. But Delroy, tell us a little bit about what's happening at CNW, what you're doing, and some of the exciting things going on there. Yeah.
Thank you, Trevor. I have to call you Mint to know, despite the shared dream, right? Good afternoon, everyone. Really, really happy to be here to share with you all. Similar to Shakira, we're an ISP. People think that we've been here for over 100 years. The truth is we're a new company. We're new on the Liberty Latin America, and we've transformed a lot since then over the past few years, yeah? We focus on our customers first, and we work from our customers in, and that has been our growth, our learning, our culture for the past 4 or 5 years, and it's been fantastic. For how it is that we play in this, it is a partnership. We partner with our customers, we partner with our competitors, we partner with small businesses and ICT companies across our 36 markets, and we focus there because we can't know everything. And as the ISP, really shouldn't know everything, right? And so we focus on what our strengths are. We do deliver for our customers on the cybersecurity side, on the kit that we need, on the hardware we need, on our technical teams who can solve those solutions end to end. But we have to work with our customers and our partners to solve AI, to solve the hacks, to solve the threats, to understand their operations and how they interact with our operations. It's a shared goal and a shared objective. It's fun. I'll say that it is fun. It is a never ending game. And we love to play in it, love to solve those solutions.
Excellent. Great to hear that. Great to hear that. And finally, this gentleman here is the director of cybersecurity at Simtai. We both play in the same kind of space, which is cybersecurity. Albeit he plays a whole lot more than I do in it. Rory Banks, no stranger to me or the cybersecurity space. Tell us what's going on with you and Simtai. And we have to take you off mute as well.
Hi, good afternoon, Trevor. I thank you for that introduction, and thank you, panelists. Thank you for the Commissioner of Canada. Thank you for inviting us to be a part of this panel discussion. So, quick background about Simtai Consulting. So, we have been around for about 25 years. We celebrated our 25th anniversary February this year. And what's very interesting is when we started out as a IT audit and data analytics company. So over the years, we have branched out into cybersecurity, and that now is our core service offering to our clients. However, we do offer client services around digital transformation. We have worked with a lot of companies in terms of helping to improve their business processes, in terms of transforming their business, making them more efficient, making them more lean. And Trevor, as you would have known, we are also one of the leaders in terms of data privacy and protection. So we have a partnership in place with the International Association of Privacy Professionals, where we are responsible for the English-speaking Caribbean in terms of certifying and training persons to become certified in privacy professionals, privacy managers, and it's very interesting. So from the cybersecurity perspective, I am responsible for that unit, and we have operated in over more than 23 different countries, not only in the Caribbean, but we have also done cybersecurity work in North America. We have also done work for company in Canada, in Europe, and even most recently, we have done security assessments for a company in Ghana. So we are branching out. Some of the services that we offer, so we focus a lot on what's called red teaming, and that's more of the, I would say, the very fun side of security, where we get to test and we get to break systems. So security assessments around applications, networks, cloud infrastructure, mobile applications. Those are some of the very interesting areas that we focus on. Even social engineering as a service. So we do phishing exercises, mission exercises, and pertaining to phishing, this is using emails to try and trick persons to either click on a link, submit some information, download some malware. And this is all in pertaining to security awareness training, ensuring employees, ensuring customers, staff members are aware of security threats that are out there. One of the big services that we offer also is called DevSecOps. And we were the first in the Caribbean to offer this to quite a bit of our customers. So DevSecOps is where, instead of you waiting until the end to test a application, to test a solution, we impart security from as early as possible, from the requirements gathering stage, from the architecture. And what we've seen is that by imparting security that early, we're able to reduce the risk, we're able to identify vulnerabilities earlier, and in fact, we're able to help companies save money, be more efficient, be more lean, be more proactive. And also we leverage AI, we leverage all these different types of techniques during this process. And we have seen companies, they benefit so tremendously over the years of all of these different services that we offer. And of course, we do offer threat intelligence services, augmentation related services, and there are also blue teaming services that we offer in terms of responding to security incidents, monitoring security incidents, and all of these are offered through some of our partners. What's very important, and I know we're going to be discussing it during this session, and it's to ensure that you're aware that threat actors aren't just hackers, they aren't just attackers that are somewhere in Europe, somewhere around the world. Right here in the Caribbean, we are having attacks against different countries. Even employees are attackers. They already have access to your data. There are internal threats. Not all of the threats that we face are external facing. And we are also hackers, but we are ethical hackers. And that's one of the big value that we add to our clients. So by being ethical, we're able to identify the threats. We're able to provide recommendations to our clients. And that's where we're able to add the value, because the true value that we add as a company is really the people, our experience, our expertise, our certifications, our accreditations, all of these, and the breadth of knowledge that we have, we tend to add a tremendous value to our customers. Looking forward to the discussion further, Trevor.
Thank you so much, Rory. A full gamut of capabilities at Simtai. In fact, you know, you mentioned you know, the fact that attacks are coming at us, cyber threats, it's a global thing. And you know, a report came out recently that since the start of the year, and just to put some context on what we're going to be talking about, a report came out just about a month ago that highlighted the fact that the Caribbean and Latin America experienced over 69 billion cyber attacks since January. This is not a joke. This is real stuff happening. Jamaica alone, you know, was party to over 19 million of those attacks. So one of the things that we have to constantly realize is that it's not because we're small islands in the Caribbean Sea that we're not going to attract the attention of threat actors. It is because we are so small and we perhaps don't invest as much in security, but have so much valuable data that they will attack us. So I wanted to start there to talk about some of the threats, highlight some of the threats that exist, and then let's, you know, go into how we can mitigate and how, you know, each one of the you know, panelists and the services that their company provide can help us to mitigate some of these. So I'll start with Nandini. What I kind of wanted you to do was to tell us a little bit more about how CryptoMill does what it does, how it uses, you know, innovative solutions to treat with the attacks. In fact, what you could probably do is, from your standpoint, your viewpoint, what are some of the current cyber threats that are out there? What are some of the challenges that you've seen some of the organizations that you interface with having to treat with? And then how does CryptoMill, you know, do its thing to help those organizations to mitigate that? I'm going to start that way. I'm going to then go to Rory and have him, you know, speak about it as well, because I kind of wanted to set, you know, some context around the reality that you know, is these cyber threats that exist.
Thank you, Trevor. I'll take that question from two perspectives, one on what we do currently, and then also augment that with how the AI-related cyber challenges are something we address from our perspective in the same tone. So to your first point, currently, and I think Rory encapsulated that really well, the attacks, when you think of cyber attacks, CryptoMill's focus is to be, as I like to call, the first responders. We're right there to make sure that, or maybe not so much the first responders, but we proactively prevent the end result of a cyber attack, which is essentially, why do the perpetrators, whether nation state driven or otherwise, go after sensitive information? Either they want to cripple the economy, or they want to put fear in the people, or during the pandemic, create chaos or disrupt efforts to try to bring the vaccines to the marketplace. And then, you know, the geopolitical environment is sort of meant to squish other countries that certain nations think is, you know, are, as you said, you know, may not have the powerhouse to spend a lot of money, but have a lot of sensitive information. So from CryptoMill's perspective, every day of our wake up time, the engineers are focused on, again, as Rory, you mentioned, ethical hacking, to think like a bad guy and try to circumvent Now, the way we do that, as I mentioned in my introduction, was recognizing that instead of worrying about reactively approaching the problem, we have proactively taken our knowledge of encryption and security and wrapped it around at data layer level. So at the level of data, the information itself, we utilize our knowledge and creatively have wrapped encryption around it. That's on the one side of the spectrum. The other is, while all of that information is protected and secure and it travels with at rest and used when you share it in the cloud, in the satellite, down the sea level, access is on a need to know basis. So if you have seen the movie Meet the Fockers, our product platform is called Circles of Trust. And so you're either in the circle or you're not. Now that can be user to system level or system to system level. So user to system level, it can be applied in, big and small enterprises, military, and the notion of protecting sensitive information, having that encryption travel with it wherever it goes, and access being within the circle or out is the baseline of it. What that does proactively is, instead of reacting to a threat attack or a cyber attack, it ensures that wherever that data is shared or used or collaborated on, it always stays protected, always. And those that are working on it legitimately can work on it. But if any deviation happens, i.e. an unauthorized access, or as you said, an internal rogue employee with ill intent for the country or the company tries to leak data, it simply won't be feasible because the premise of what we do cryptographically makes it impossible for any unauthorized access to that data. So that means we're taking the masses of today's cyber threats from external hack attacks. Those hacks can be on content server, on your email, on the cloud, on your device level. It doesn't matter. We're not reacting to each attack. We're working on the baseline. The data will always stay protected. So no matter where the attack happens, it's inaccessible to unauthorized parties. That doesn't mean business doesn't do what it does, because if you're legitimate and you're a circle member based on groupings, AD, all the leveraging of business processes in place, you can simply work on it. If you're the threat actor, or if I'm the threat actor in my organization and I have ill intent and I try to leak it, I could be within that circle, but when I share it with another nation, it simply won't allow them access because they're not part of the circle. So external hacks, internals, all of that we address. I'll pause.
No, that's I think you captured that really well. So I'm gonna go to Roy here really quickly, because one of the things that Nandini highlighted was some of these threats. They exist on various levels, and most times we're not always cognizant of the various levels. And I'm putting Camilo on notice because Genetec does some things that are pretty interesting in that way. But Roy, I wonder if you could speak to, some of the various levels that some of these attacks are coming at, because a lot of times we're not always cognizant of, the attack vector and how these attackers are working. So I wonder if you could speak to some of the experiences you've had, some of the things that you've seen, to kind of give people an understanding of, look, here are the different ways and means that attacks can occur. And then what we'll do is we'll start to talk, about how to protect these different layers, and what some of our other companies are doing about that.
All right, sure, Trevor. And as Nandini mentioned, so they focus more on the preventative part in terms of encrypting the data, ensuring that the data can't be leaked, it can't be accessed unauthorized. But what we've seen in the specific to the Caribbean is that 3 main types of attacks occur, and it's nothing too sophisticated, but malicious software, which is to ransomware, that's number 1. Social engineering is still leading and web-based application attacks. And we can break those down into different avenues and expound a lot on them. But because it's so easy for attackers to leverage social engineering, and I think Darren even mentioned the MGM incident, that stemmed from a social engineering. Literally, the IT person was called. They pretended to be that same IT administrator. They got the information from LinkedIn, called the service desk. The service desk did not have a proper way to validate that this is really the IT person. Said I wanted to reset my password. The password was reset and they got access to the account and then started to propagate. We have seen attacks like that happen in the Caribbean, very simple. Even us, when we're doing social engineering exercises for companies in the Caribbean, those are some of the techniques that we utilize. In terms of leveraging AI to even put a higher success rate on some of these instances, you can utilize ChatGPT, for example, to write a phishing email. You won't state that it's a phishing email, but you can state that let's write an email as a CEO for this particular company, and the tone will be very realistic. Even the email footer, the note that's placed there, that information can easily be garnered. We can literally communicate with a salesperson and they will respond with an email. You can get the email signature from it. So these are some of the techniques that attackers utilize. One of the more advanced attack technique, I would say, pertaining to ransomware is not just using the traditional malicious software, but they're now utilizing polymorphic ransomware, meaning they're changing state continuously. So for example, traditional antivirus would utilize signature-based, meaning all the malicious software would be on a list. That cannot stop the advanced malware. You have to leverage AI, you have to leverage machine learning to identify some of these malicious software and these malicious activities, because the malwares are changing state continuously. They're reacting to the environments that they're launched in. You can literally go on the dark web and purchase a ransomware. This is some of the services that hackers and attackers are doing. Instead of spending hours, spending days building a malicious software, it is available on the dark web to be purchased, and then they can simply launch that attack against companies in the Caribbean. Majority of the attacks and the breaches that we have seen recently are pertaining to malware. However, there's still web-based application attacks. Websites are still weak. We're seeing weaknesses in web application, cross-site scripting, SQL injection attacks, cross-site request forgery, and these are all focused on web-based weaknesses. And attackers are still exploiting these. However, it takes more time, it's a little more effort in exploiting these weaknesses. So why should I focus so much time and effort in terms of trying to exploit an organization or exploit a person using these techniques while I can simply send a phishing email? I can simply make a phone call. So it is much easier to attack an organization using these techniques. One of the more advanced attacks that's happening, and we have been exploring it, is what's called deepfake. And with deepfake, it's pretty much leveraging AI to pretend to be you, Trevor, for example. You have a lot of recordings on the internet, you have YouTube videos. They can take those data and those information and recreate the image, recreate the voice, pretending to be you and changing the narrative. So it goes for both audio, it goes for both video. And by leveraging that technology, it's very scary. Now you can literally leverage that to launch more social engineering attacks. You can launch even government-based attacks. Imagine attackers using the prime minister, for an example, utilizing their pictures, utilizing the sound and the tone, and recreating videos. That is a very scary attack.
What you're doing there now, you're scaring a lot of people out there. I mean, you and I and others who play in the space, this is not news to us, but it is something that is very serious. You highlighted the fact that artificial intelligence has created an entirely new opportunity, I call it, for threat actors, because now they can be hyper efficient in creating malware. As you said, you can create a phishing email using ChatGPT, which used to be work some time ago. But these are some of the ways in which AI at a relatively high level is working. What I want to do, so they were looking at data, and one of the major conduits of this data is a network. And one of the things I kind of want to focus on, I put some light on is, well, okay, so I get emails, I run applications on my computer, I'm sending emails, I'm surfing the net. All of this requires connectivity, it requires the internet and the fabric between my computer and the rest of the world, or my business and the rest of the world. For that to work, you need the telecommunications providers. Now, one of the things that, again, often goes unnoticed is that you can have, and by the way, the threat actors need the network as well. So one of the things I wanted to get some feedback on, and we have literally 3 provider-based panelists. What I wanted to look at is how is the telecommunications industry right now looking at security, and how is it utilizing, if at all, AI to do it? I'm going to start with Delroy, and then I'm going to move through the provider panelists just to get your feedback on those things. How are you dealing with the obvious security challenges, but how are you utilizing artificial intelligence to perhaps mitigate some of these challenges?
Well, that's a big one, because our network spans over 38 countries, right? 36 markets, 38 countries. We don't actually get to see the data.
I hope not.
So we don't get to see the data. We do get to see where the attacks are. Like Rory, like Nanini, we get to see, the hot targets, the hot threats, but we don't get to see what's actually happening at the end users. So what we've done is we've had to transition from a typical ISP or provider that says, here's a pipe, here's a network pipe, here's connectivity. And we've had to wrap it. We've had to wrap it as best as possible so that we can help to engage and be transparent with our customers. So we did a few things. Working backwards from the customer, knowing our customer, what they're doing, giving them power. Here's what your service looks like. Here's how we're using your data. Here's how you connect. Here's what utilization looks like, which meant, updating what's on their site, what they keep at home, what the modems are, what the routers are, giving them more access to more advanced tools through managed services, giving them our managed services, managed security protection, data for free as well included. So for a lot of our direct access customers, they get for free at no additional cost, to see what's happening on their network. Leveraging that now is where AI comes in. Through our customers, through their own information coming back to us, we can say, hey, here are some hotspots, be aware, and then teach our teams. Let's educate ourselves. So the good thing is that across the Caribbean, across all our markets, there's strong regulation. We're a SOX compliant company as well. And we can leverage these existing tools to actually fight cyber threats. How? Through SOX, through compliance, we get to understand ourselves more, our processes more, how it is that we work, how it is that we touch our customers, and the path from us to our customers, and the threats in between. With that, we're able to say, hey, don't do this, do that. Educate our customers in this area, educate them in that area, and be transparent in what's happening. And do it consistently. We're able to train our teams. I myself have to go through cybersecurity training. I kid you not, I just did mine last week, every 3 months.
Oh, wow.
It's a policy for every single employee in the company across all our operations.
Well, let me ask you, and again, Shakira and Darren, pay attention. How are you educating your customers? Because one of the biggest challenges that we all know exists is many of the John publics, they don't fully understand, the threats. We firestyle this technology on them, we give them a whole heap of data and access to the internet and so on, but we don't teach them about the risks. How is Cable and Wireless educating its customers really quickly?
We're taking a page out of the book of the insurance providers.
Mhm.
Nobody likes paying for insurance, but everybody needs it. It's the same thing for cybersecurity. Keep it simple, stick to the basics. We don't worry about don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. We focus first on what are the best practices you should do.
Mhm.
Keep it to the list of 3s if you can. Here are the things that you should do, you should do, you should do. Don't
Okay.
forward, don't open. And then, of course, bring the tools to help them to make those decisions faster. That's really it. It's education, education, education.
Okay. Darren, how are you guys treating with some of these challenges with security, and how are you utilizing artificial intelligence at Switch to help in mitigating some of the threats and perhaps making the experience for your customers better?
Well, I mean, the early detection, I think, is very important. So understanding, when there's been your network's been compromised. So understanding that, and that's how, on our team here, we take a look, with DDoS attacks and various other types of attacks that go after our networks, and we have that protection in place as best we can, really, but it's also educating the customer on how they can respond. And so do they have those things in place? Are their firewall security systems up to date? All those kind of pieces. Do you compartmentalize your networks, right? So having, 4 different networks inside of one is a lot better than one large network. And so when you do get compromised, and the fact is, with AI, you got to look at it from the other side, from the attacker's end, not just talking, send out 1,000 emails or 10,000 emails and hope to get something, hope to get an attack through. We're talking about brute force attacks that are specifically targeted to high profile customers. And that's definitely, who we really deal with is pretty, high end customers and governments. So, in that end is what happens, right? What are the next steps? And those are the things that I try and provide awareness is recovery, right? Is important. So once utilizing AI to find out where the attack occurred, right? When it occurred, will give you the first steps to understanding how you can respond. And so, moving that forward is build resiliency if you need to be connected, right? So to cloud-based services, et cetera, right? So have those backups, different IP scopes as well, right? So don't have everything residing on certain IP ranges, move them around, right? And basically, run dark. I mean, if you're going to use anything like traffic control systems and all those kind of things, that pipeline systems, they should have zero access to the internet, right? And because, I mean, you still have threats, you have internal threats that go, around that, but they, it's a lot easier to prevent outside intrusion and compromisation of your critical systems. So, and that's how, we help our customers is build those networks.
Great. Sounds good. Shakira, how are you guys treating with these threats at Cable Bahamas? What are some of the challenges that you have seen, that you experience, and how are you, looking to make your customer experience in light of these kinds of threats much better?
Okay. So can you hear me okay? Because I was told there was some
Yes.
feedback. You can hear me good?
No, man, I'm hearing you well. Good man.
Perfect. So like one of the panelists, I think mentioned that we look at security from different perspectives or different layers, right? So in cybersecurity, there's the term defense in depth. So you're looking at different aspects of your environment. So that's the devices, the applications, the systems that you're using, the infrastructure. You have to look at each one of them separately, understand the risks that exist at each of those layers, and then put in the protections that are appropriate, right? So when we look at our internal operation, so I lead the team for our cybersecurity and information security team. So on a daily basis, we're having to look at, first of all, so another panelist would have also mentioned that we have the threat of insiders, right? These are the persons that already have the access that the hackers are trying to get. So they are one of the first areas that we look at. So how do we equip our staff, our vendors, consultants, persons who have access to our environment? We make sure that we run regular information security training campaigns. I think he would have mentioned 3 months. He do it every 3 months, and that he did his training last week. I actually did mine today. A little bit late, but I completed it, right? And so making sure that at every level, they understand their responsibility. They understand how to detect and respond to different threats, such as phishing. Someone also mentioned phishing being one of the top threats that they're seeing in their environment. And that's the same, I think, across the board, because that's one of the areas for us where we're leveraging an AI-driven solution to ensure that our email security is becoming more and more efficient, because the types of phishing emails change on a regular basis, right? And of course, social engineering, someone also mentioned social engineering. It is very successful. It is one of the most successful forms of cyber attacks because it impacts the human, right? So we can put in all of the technologies, we can put in the latest and greatest firewalls, all of the different technology aspects, but it takes the employees, the humans, the persons who are using the technologies to understand their responsibilities and to be our first line of defense. So that's what we call them, our first line of defense. So then when it comes to the technology or the systems or devices that we're using, we now have to make sure that we're keeping our devices up to date with the latest security patches, right? So that's how the ransomwares get in and the different malware infections happen. So we look at that layer and put in the right protections there. We ensure that we're getting information related to vulnerabilities on a regular cadence. So that's where you would have to now deploy the remediation. So ensuring that you have teams and persons dedicated to those areas is especially important. And I say all that to say, if we are not securing ourselves internally, we are not going to be in a position to secure our customers' data and protect their privacy. So how we educate our customers, we have different mechanisms that we use. So let's say for our commercial customers, for example, we would have campaigns that we host on or advertisements that we host on our television stations, just giving them tips on what various aspects of their businesses what are some of the best practices they should use in the various areas in their businesses. We also provide training and tips for our residential customers, or if the company has, I'll give you an example. So we embarked on a partnership with government to provide free Wi-Fi for our communities in different community parks. So one of our initiatives there was to ensure that we had to make sure that we provided security awareness or best practices to the community to help them understand that, yes, this is free Wi-Fi, but these are some of the dangers and these are some of the things that you can do to safeguard yourselves and your families. So we look at security from different layers, and we try to implement, again, safeguards according to that specific area. I think it was a two-part question, wasn't it?
It was, but here's what I'm going to do, because you mentioned, providing the access and to your communities and so on. But you also mentioned protecting the privacy of data.
Yes.
And that has, become, something that we started to pay close attention to, especially with the advent of, I don't know how it is in Bahamas, but in Jamaica, a thing down here called scamming. That was a major industry. And, a lot of it was attributed to the BPO sector and, whether fairly or unfairly. But one of the things I wanted to do, Genetec has a lot of experience in various sectors, but it has experience in the BPO sector. And what I wanted to do was to ask Camilo, if you could kind of highlight some of the experiences that you've had in that sector, and perhaps how you guys utilize, your solutions and artificial intelligence technology to improve the security of perhaps some of your clients in the BPO sector, and also how what are some of the things that you would want to convey to businesses in that sector around security and privacy of data, because BPO is a very big thing down here in Jamaica. So, and I did notice that Yanni Epstein had joined this webinar. Big up, Yanni. But yeah, Camilo, tell us some of the experiences, and if you can even give examples of how you guys are using your technologies and artificial intelligence to mitigate some of the threats that you might see in the BPO sector.
Thank you so much for the question. And before that, thank you for reminding me that I have to take my training on cybersecurity this month. We are all in this. I mean, just to tell you, I'm glad to hear this, because cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility at this point. People need to know the do's, the don'ts, what's good, what's bad behavior, and understand the risks. I think that's the first step. So yeah, talking about BPOs specifically, yes, our company has developed projects for BPOs worldwide, among other industries, with some specific cases in Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean as well. So just to have some additional context of the physical security systems, in the last 15 years, they have become digital, right? That means that these kind of systems that we use for camera security, access control, and so on, use the IT network infrastructure, right? We are running our services in the infrastructure, in the networks, routers, and so on. So this digital infrastructure has become the highway we use to transmit and to do the video streaming, to interchange the transactions, and in general connect IoT devices, right? So in industries like BPOs that are really close to IT and demand the best IT tools available, it is important to protect the people's identity, right? And moreover, companies that have contracts with BPOs are very demanding in terms of security and privacy, right? So talking about the specific cases and how, for example, machine learning, deep learning have been applied. In this sense, video analytics and biometrics are often used as access control credentials, okay? So forget about proximity cards that we use for accessing the physical doors. Forget about this physical plastic that can be lost, that can be forgotten at home, and so on. The video analytics nowadays with facial recognition readers, they are capable of detecting with a high level of accuracy the face of the authorized person, right? So this is a great tool to determine time and attendance and provide a high level of access control. But the conversation goes further than that. Why? Because we gotta protect these identities. We gotta protect the information that we are storing. We are storing the biometrics of the people, either the fingerprints, either the face. So we have to be very responsible. We have to use all the tools available for encryption, for preventing unauthorized users to go and find this sensitive information. And we have to ensure this, this privacy. So at this point, it is important to highlight that we have to take away the perception that most of the market has that, you know, at some point, security systems invade people's privacy, given that these systems, you know, record activities. And in fact, we believe that security and privacy should never be mutually exclusive, and organizations should never have to choose between protecting, you know, people's privacy and their physical security. So Genetec, we have all the tools for security professionals, you know, to responsibly collect and manage data, manage this information. Most important, the video footage, because with this you are recording all people's activity. And while you have to comply with privacy laws that exist around the world, okay? We believe that respecting people's privacy should be the basis for the design of these kind of services, using privacy by design methodologies, provide nowadays an essential roadmap for product development that involves this, and also, of course, ensure the data integrity and protect people's personal information that is essential, that is captured every day by security cameras and these kind of devices. So just to add, the solutions nowadays have to comply with several regulations. One of the most important is the GDPR, the European General Data Protection Regulation. We comply with that. We have all the tools. California Consumer Privacy Policy. There are some in Canada, like the Canadian Electronic and Personal Information, among other regulations around the world. So that is important. And of course, talking about cybersecurity, for us, it is mandatory for the people that implement our solutions to enable all the tools to mitigate the risks, right? Including password policies, including permissions and privileges, including encryption for communication, for video, for all the transactions of the access control. And of course, to have these tools enabled in any component that is going to be connected to our solution.
All right, great. No, and you know, I'm going to segue now into the whole aspect of data privacy, because you mentioned GDPR, you mentioned California's regulations, but what's important to also highlight is Jamaica. Our data protection legislation goes into effect on the 1st of December this year. And it is a really game-changing piece of legislation, but it has far-reaching effects and impacts. And one of the things that, you know, this legislation does is it puts the control of data, really, personal information in the hands of the citizen. And I'm going to pose this question to all the panelists to get your feedback on this. Data privacy globally has become a very important thing. But one of the biggest challenges for any business, big or small, is to have effective ways and efficient ways of protecting the data that they have in their custody. And by that, I mean the amount of data you possess nowadays in this digital age has nothing to do with the size of your company. You can have very small companies that have a whole lot of data and a whole lot of people, in some cases more than companies 4 or 5 times their size. One of the things I want to get some feedback from the panelists on, and I'm going to start with Nandini on this, is what are some of the ways that you envision artificial intelligence playing a role in the protection of people's personal data. What are some of the ways in which you see not only now but in the future, artificial intelligence protecting people's personal and private information?
Okay, so I'm going to sound like an AI sniper here for what I'm going to say. So sorry. But I think if I take a step back and just focus on, at its core, the role of artificial intelligence is to collect data, identify patterns, and then act upon findings. And if we just take a whiteboard and simplify, and I know for all of you AI folks, please don't think that I'm minimizing the stupendous power of AI, but the core combination of impactful AI modeling, subsetting with machine learning and all of that is driven by the data that's collected and all the algorithms. So when I call myself an AI sniper, I wasn't being facetious. I was just saying that in my mind, it's got to be a combination of artificial intelligence along with a bunch of things. So a multi-pronged approach to your question, Trevor, with respect to incorporating AI. You talked about privacy. You know that Canada is the proponent of, Dr. Anne Kevokian was the proponent of the 7 principles of privacy by design. And she talked about privacy by design being embedded proactively, not reactively. And then combining that with what I mentioned earlier, the essence of protecting data by taking a data-centric security approach. I heard a lot of you talk about educating, but and learning, but also being mindful that sometimes the leaks come from internal. So a zero trust architecture, which says trust but verify. So it's a complex environment we live in, and I don't believe that AI alone can do all of this. I think a multi-pronged approach, much like what we do with our home, right? You go away to Canada and you're going to enjoy the winter here, but you're not going to rely on the lock either in the front or the back or the alarm system. You want to make sure you have a combination of everything. So in my opinion, bringing all of the facets together, because the reality is we're in a crisis mode. I know we don't often talk about it, but both from a geopolitical environment and the cyber attacks, we're at a crisis high. First, we had the pandemic, and that was compromised. That allowed the hackers to compromise. So we're rampant with this problem. So a mild sequential approach is just going to result, as you said, Trevor, in a bunch of cyber attacks happening everywhere. I mean, it's shocking and sad and disturbing that in a country like Jamaica itself, you've highlighted such a large spectrum. But by the way, it's not just Jamaica, it's everywhere. So we're rampant. So taking a one-pronged approach is just going to not do it for us as a global community. If you want peace, if you want security, in my opinion, we need to bring in the AI, the data centricity, the privacy by design, the security embedded into systems. And as businesses, it is our absolute moral responsibility to embed security so that we make it harder and harder for the ransomware type attacks and others to work on. So that's why the
Nandini, I like how you encapsulated that. That was fantastic. Darren, your thoughts? Same question.
Yeah, no, I don't see a lot of the customer data side, right? So on the telecommunications end of things, we don't store or collect customer data, but we are a service provider. So, the challenge with a telecommunication company is you can have thousands or millions of subscribers in various different walks, right? So, for us to be able to help those customers, with AI, it's kind of like this. I mean, if you have AI, when do you start to allow it to change or modify your network in real time, right? So, and that's something that we need to, from a telecom perspective, it's like putting a person behind brand new person behind driving a car, right? You know what I mean? And it could just drive it off the wall kind of thing and cause widespread outages. Do you have a human in the middle to try and, to approve those changes in real time that you're going to need to be sophisticated enough using AI? And so from a telecom perspective, it's a challenge to assess that essentially and have those keys kind of opened up. I mean, AI in real time is what matters, right? I mean, that's the difference that we need to get to. But from a telecom perspective, dealing with a large network, millions of customers, that can be a challenge. So that's something that, we're looking at right now to see how can we isolate protect certain areas of our networks for our customers to ensure that they maintain their uptime, essentially.
All right. Mr. McLean.
I'm really with Nandini on this to a point, right? I don't see AI as a solution. It never is. It's never supposed to be. It's not new. Yeah, it's never new. It's here to support. And let me tell you, trying to secure our customers' data day in, day out means understanding all your processes across all your lines of businesses with human eyes day in, day out. Our security team, Shakira touched on this as well, the security team is integrated in the business. And so as you want to innovate a new product line, a new solution, a process might support that. You know how to put that process through the rigors. And so to your question, that's where I think AI can help, right? If we have everything documented, if we're going through the right build from the ground up, as Rory touched on earlier, then AI can help us to understand the impact of those changes, right, as we roll out. And that's where I think AI can really support us. So the manual process of securing or understanding a business is made easier through AI. That's one. AI can also help us on the front line in the ISP world with educating our customers, letting our customers know when they're oversharing, because customers overshare, right? Be it on our customer support call, they don't understand what they're doing, what services are needed. Hey, can you give me this information? And they just blurt out a credit card number, for example. So AI can help us there as well. AI can really help us in understanding when our own teams are oversharing, right? In detecting, in responding, and getting the information back to the eyes that needed to say, here's how we can improve, here's how we can make it better, here's how we can add transparency, here's how we can educate. That's how I see AI really helping us in the telco world.
Great. Shakira, your thoughts, same question?
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what was said. So like Mr. McLean said, AI should be used as an enabler. Whatever the objective is for a company around data privacy, the AI-driven solutions can be used to enable those processes or those products or services we're now offering. So when you look at some of the ways that we possibly leverage AI, so whether we have chatbots to allow our customers to get in contact with us quicker. We can use AI to do things like, automate data redaction. If they were to put some sensitive information in those chatbots, we're able to quickly remove it or not even let it get to the eyes that should not be seeing it. So again, using the AI technologies to leverage what our business objectives are. And if data privacy is that objective, we should find ways to use it to materialize what it is that we're trying to achieve. Again, I agree with Nandini. AI is not the solution, but it can be used for us to get to that point of, a more secure or better data security practices. It can be leveraged for those purposes.
No, you're absolutely right. Rory, I'm gonna twist it a little bit to get your feedback, because playing in the cybersecurity space, we're acutely aware of the value of data, which is what the prime target of threat actors is nowadays. We're using the technology that is AI to assist in this. From your perspective, what are some of the ways in which we can look, or businesses can look at employing AI to protect the valuable data they have on a lot of their clients and so on? What are some of the things that are out there now or that are coming that we've not seen? What are some of the things that businesses can look at to protect data and to become compliant with the legislations that require them to do so?
All right, great question, Trevor. And I'm going to approach this two different ways. So I'm going to speak about what AI is doing and also speak about some of the risks of leveraging AI pertaining to data. So in reality, AI is not new. AI has been around for years. Even Google, Gmail, we have been using that for years now. I think about 18 years Gmail has been around. And they had built their foundation on using AI to identify spam emails, phishing emails. So it's not new technology, but it is just enhancing how AI is being leveraged now, which is very interesting. And as AI continues to advance, there are still also the security implications in terms of how AI is being leveraged to even break down some of these controls. So as all of the panelists mentioned, AI alone cannot be the complete solution. But still, there are a lot of developments and a lot of benefits of leveraging AI. So for example, even how customers, how users authenticate into a system, AI can be leveraged to challenge a user based on their patterns, their behavior, risky signing, for example. I am in Barbados now. Should I be challenged for an authenticator? Should I be challenged for a multi-factor authenticator because I'm in a different country? If I used to log in from a specific machine, should I now be challenged if I log in using my phone? These are some methods and ways where AI can real-time protect data, protect how you authenticate and access their data. Even in terms of the data that's collected, I think Shakira mentioned it. If you're inputting certain types of data, or even when you're sending an email, if you're TR and if your sensitive information is in that email, AI can scan it and identify that this information should not be sent by this means. And again, this isn't new. This is data loss prevention or protection tools that have been around for years, but it's now just on a different scale where AI is being leveraged to identify these threat actors or these weaknesses. So to spin it a little, let's think about AI being leveraged as an attack vector. So in our space, we have seen where AI is able to guess passwords for end users. So yes, we're going to employ strong password policy. Your password should be at least 12 characters long, uppercase, lowercase. And what's happening now is that with AI, it's able to compute certain patterns and trends based on the end user. So for example, you may say the end user is born on a particular date. The end user attended this school. The end user is this old. They have a kid. The kid name is this. And based on some of those inputs, AI will be able to predict certain password that the user may actually create. So a part of AI is that you should utilize it to generate passwords that are very complex and strong, that a regular user, that an attacker or a hacker would not even try to guess. And this is kind of how we have to leverage AI in terms of combating some of the attacks that hackers utilize. Because, for example, on a day-to-day basis, when we are attacking networks, when we are attacking applications, we do brute force attacks against them in terms of password attacks. We try to break hashes. And all of this is based on computing power. Leveraging AI will increase the accuracy and also increase the speed of how fast someone will be able to guess that. And speaking about even passwords, I'm going to leave this question to you, but we're moving away from passwords and we're now moving to the state of biometric. In terms of data privacy, if your biometric gets compromised, what will happen? If your fingerprint gets compromised, what will happen? You can't go and just change your fingerprint like how you can change your password, right? Will you cut off your finger or will you use a different finger?
Actually, they did that with Mercedes. I don't know if you know, Rory, but in Florida, Mercedes had a fingerprint lock to the key for the car, and some of the robbers cut their thumb too. So, that is a reality today.
Yeah, but no, serious considerations there, Rory, and because we're gonna wind it down now. What I'm hearing, which is the key takeaway from this part of the discussion, is AI is not this be-all, end-all solution for some of the data privacy challenges that we have, and we get that. But it is most certainly a tool that can be used to augment some of the strategies and capabilities that we would want to have, perhaps to make things more efficient, to again combat the AI-based capabilities that are being used by some of the threat actors out there. But the idea is AI by itself, and I think Nandini was a tough act to follow because she encapsulated it so well. I think that from the standpoint of AI, we want to understand and realize that this thing is a tool. This is something that we can utilize to make things more efficient, make things better. But by itself, it is not a be-all, end-all. So in winding down, I wonder if we have any questions from the viewing audience. Were there any questions, guys? Did we see any questions pop up, or it was that clear? Okay. So a question, and another very important one, which is always a challenge. Question from Nicola Parkinson. Thank you for the question, Nicole. Nicole's question amounts to user awareness and education. What she's asking is using the guardrails are effective without educating end users. And by guardrails, I suspect she means all the different policies and frameworks and regulations and so on that we put in place. But regardless of all of that, and we do face this challenge in the cybersecurity space, the weakest link is always the unaware and uneducated end user. 80% of ransomware attacks and by extension cyber attacks originate from the end user who just didn't do what they were supposed to do because they didn't know. So the question is, do you think all these guardrails would be effective without educating end users? And I think it's a great question, because education and awareness is extremely important. I believe that without that, again, you'll be fighting a losing battle, because again, no matter how much technology you use to secure your network and secure the perimeter and secure the machine, none of that prevents somebody from clicking on a bad link. Yep. So I guess the answer to your question, education and awareness is critical, very critical, a part of making sure that, again, everybody understands the technology, understands the baggage and responsibilities that go along with it. So I'm going to, I don't see any more questions. So what I'm going to do, and I mean, we're close to our time. I am going to ask my colleague, my deputy host, to give some closing remarks.
I hope this session was useful for everyone, the panelists, but also the participants who listen on directly online or through YouTube or later. I think I hope it will continue. Please don't be shy and share your contact. And if you need some help we can connect you with the company and the panelists, please get in touch with us. The email address was indicated in the chat, and it's KNGTNTD. That's the reason why I didn't want to say at international.gc.ca. So the idea is like Kingston Trade TD. That's the idea. So or you can be in touch with Leslie Ann, who's the one who organized this session. If you already have her contact, Leslie and Ever. So thank you very much also to you, Trevor, for moderating this session. And I think not the last thing, but before we close everything, I think we want to do a little family group picture. I know we have just a portion of us here, but if we can, if Tanisha can help us and put
So
the family
everybody,
screen.
yeah, everybody needs to have their cameras on.
Exactly, and
And we
Tanisha's
do
gonna
that.
do the magic like when we did the introduction at the beginning of the session. Exactly. Can we put the bigger screen for everyone?
Oh, wow, okay. Exciting. So yeah, we get to see some stuff
That's
that you
the
guys
idea.
don't see,
Oh,
right?
You can see the AI one.
So
Yeah, it's right there.
it's time to preparing a live stream. Okay, so I don't know if it's on your
Yeah, it's
screen
there.
for
Yeah,
the
it's there.
picture, so it's time if you want to take it. Oh,
Oh, yeah, there it is. All
There
right,
you
good.
sorry for this, and
And while that happens,
Thank you.
again, we just want to say thank you for all of the guests, the participants. All the information for you to reach out to these wonderful companies and beat up on Cable and Wireless for service. You have Simtai, you have Switch, Genitech, CryptoMail, and well, Cable Bahamas. When you're in Bahamas, that's a service, I guess, that you want to check out there, right? Thank you to all the panelists for joining us. Your insights were fantastic. I think we got some really good information from you guys. This looks like something that we might need to have again.
we are open to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Hear that, people? And I really want to thank the Canadian High Commission for sponsoring this really insightful event.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, guys, take care. Glad you could be with us, and see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
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 Thank you, everyone.